back to our podcast. Fuck your P's and Q's. Brenson, Ennis, Hale. Today we're going to be talking about environment and brushing up on a little bit of reciprocation. So, Andre.
We're going into this?
Absolutely. Hey, man, talk our shit. Let's
All
get
right,
it.
let's go.
All right, man. So how do you feel about the concept of environment, and does your environment have an impact on you? Give it to me.
Yeah, let's do that. I think that plays into the concept of nature versus nurture.
Okay.
And yes, I think your environment definitely affects, your personality, your ambition, your aspirations. Mm-hmm. And until maybe you get that change of environment, you can't necessarily see how you were previously thinking because you're so caught up in that environment and you're so just stuck in that way of thinking that it's until you have that change of environment where your perceptions change and you're in a way enlightened into how you're previously thinking. And
So you're maybe talking on the basis of not knowing anything else once you're stuck in an environment? Is that
yeah, I think it's easy to get caught up in a particular environment. I know this sounds really vague. We're talking about environments, but I think it's easy to get caught up in that or stuck in that if you're the type of person that hasn't been exposed to a lot.
Right.
If you can't really self-reflect and to think about what environment am I in right now? Am I just going with emotions? Because people don't think about that. They just are enjoying themselves. They're learning, what's in front of them, learning about that. Mm-hmm. And not taking that step back to think, is this environment affecting me? Is it affecting who I am, my decisions, my thoughts, everything like that?
Okay. So you definitely agree environment does have an impact on you?
Yes.
I agree as well. I mean, I think once you get confined into an environment, it's hard for you to think outside the box. Mm-hmm. And I mean,
why is that for a second? Obviously, we're going to talk about the effect on us, but why is that? I think
why is it hard to think outside of the box when you're in an environment?
Yeah,
because it's like norms. You know what I mean? So like when you're in an environment, like. And don't get me wrong, I might be making a generalization, but this is what I've encountered in the environments that I was, confined in. When you're in an environment, there's norms and there's against the grain. Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of environments that individuals are in, they have similar mindsets with their counterparts. Yeah. So if you, in essence, like go against what your environment's going for, you're kind of like an outcast.
Mm-hmm. And no one really wants to be an outcast, do they?
Absolutely not.
Do you think when you're in that headspace of going against the grain where you feel like that outcast, do you start to attract the people that are also doing the same thing and you find your tribe in a sense? Mm-hmm. Where like, I feel like, I'm pursuing something else that most people around me are pursuing because you are going down that other path. Do you start to attract those same like-minded people that are in that same headspace as you, and you start to find that environment that fits you just out of going against the grain?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, 100%.
Yeah.
150%. Mm-hmm. Let me pat you on the back for that statement. Yes.
Thank you.
No, I feel like,
Mrs. Flynn, if you're watching this,
Mrs. Flynn,
just know you're grade 5 English teacher or grade 5 everything teacher, but English class, you know what? I evolved. I blossomed into it. Look at this.
Hey, that's funny. That's funny. That's funny. I think so when you get out of an environment that creates norms, like I feel like and we're gonna bring this up later on in conversation, but you gave me good conversation initially, so I gotta counteract that bad boy.
Please.
So I feel like once individuals are like enclose their social identity and they get out of that, they get to choose where they're headed next. You know what I mean? They get to choose their environment. I'll give you a specific example. Wow. Traffic is booming. Okay, I'll give you an example. So for an abundance of time in my life, I was in
pay for my insurance.
Hey, attaboy. Look at you paying bills and growing old.
There we go.
It's a life, right?
I'm not getting behind.
So for abundance of years in my life, I was in athletics, and once I transitioned out of athletics, like I was in athletics for a majority of my life, so it was my social identity. That was my group, everything that athletes do. Mm-hmm. that's normalized, that's what I was doing every day, in and out, doing the same routine over that other athletes do. Once I transitioned out to be essentially a narc, retired athlete, that's what athletes call people that are retired. It's like
Retired.
I'm retired. I'm done. I'll
never got paid though.
No, I mean education.
Okay,
Education is paid for.
Yeah.
But once you get out of that social identity, like, for myself, it was like it was world changing. Like I didn't know, I didn't know how to.
It's a vulnerable
in essence cope.
Essence, isn't it? It's like it's a new beginning, or it's a new identity that you have for yourself.
Yes, but at that point, I got to choose like what I wanted to endure, what I wanted to pursue. So I think you were saying how much of an impact this environment have on you has an abundance of important and impactful things that accumulate with environment. Because you're not thinking as in, I mean, you're, for the most part, you have more than one thinker around you.
Yeah.
You have norms, like you have structure, but outside thinkers, when you're in the outskirts, like you're thinking for yourself.
Yeah. How did you find? Well, okay. Actually, I'll ask you this instead. If you didn't retire from
I graduated
your sports career,
I fucking graduated.
If let's say that you could go for another 4 years in college, and you were continuing to play sports, how would that affect your ability to change? Because honestly, it's only 4 years that you had that identity, or did you have that identity longer because in high school?
Dude, when you're a college athlete, like you play throughout your adolescence, dude, we're talking about like when people that play college ball, like even high school ball, you played abundance of years. You play little league, middle school, high school, college. I'm 25. I've been playing football since I was like 6.
Yeah.
I mean, that's 17, 18 years.
But you stopping gave you the opportunity to reassess everything.
Yes, it did.
Do you think individuals reassess it, or do they try and hold on to it longer?
Oh, yes. A lot of people, and like we don't even have to strictly talk about athletics. A lot of people, and I was more aware of this when I was in Ohio around, teammates and colleagues, but like when people were done with football, they try to hold on to it, or athletics, they're trying to hold on to it as long as possible. And that's a tough transition. It's a very tough transition because, I mean, it's been a part of your life for so long. It's been your environment. You've accumulated numerous of norms that you in essence have to break, and it's kind of hard. Anybody out there that's not too inclined with their environment, like how do you become aware of your environment?
How do you become aware of your environment?
Yeah.
Just take a step back right now where you're at. The people around you, what you're doing, the actions that you take, your personality. Are they all reflections of who you want to be?
Yeah.
Are they all reflections of where you want to be? Maybe the environment you're in right now doesn't reflect who you are, but if you want to be in a certain lifestyle or a certain life, or have a certain identity, or when someone says your name, how will they view you straight away? Put yourself in an environment that can reflect that, and take those steps to actually pursue those different things that really describe who you are. Because really we are described by the people we surround ourselves with.
Absolutely.
The careers that we have, the hobbies that we do, everything in our life describes who we are as a person. If you're happy with all of those things, then obviously you don't have to change your environment. But if you're not, look at those things. Look at where you place on a day-to-day basis. What you're feeling. Does it feel right? Does it feel as if you're true to that environment and those different stereotypes around that environment, or those messages around that environment as well?
Okay. Give me a time where you had to take a step back and you had to be aware of your environment. I got a story that I think you can probably tell.
Okay.
Right?
What is that story?
Okay. Do you want to tell a story?
What is the story that I can tell? If you know me so
nightclub.
well. Oh, fuck.
Right. You can go ahead. I can probably add a little tea on it.
Okay. Yeah, let's go down this.
No, all right. So go ahead.
All right. Hand on the lucky white koi here. A story we can both relate to because you were also there. We were attending an event. I'm going to use that word. It's fucking lame as fuck. I don't know if I've used that word before.
You sound domestic.
All right.
We were attending an event. Nah, we were kicking it.
All right, so we're going to the club. We're going to the club. And this is, granted, same story from episode 1, but different scenario.
Yes.
So at the club, and my buddy said, hey, like, do you want to get a table at the club? I know the promoter. At least these are the things that I remember. He said, you know what, I know the promoter.
I'll tell you my side of it as well.
We can get a table. So what's going through my mind is like, you know what, it's going to be a cheap table. Might get something free. If not, like, at least it's going to be discounted. Whatever, it's going to be a fun night. So I'm pretty late to get to the pregame.
And I'm going to tell you about the pregame. So in essence,
3 hours late.
Yeah, 3 hours late on brother time. So from a mutual friend standpoint, Andre introduced me to some guys out here that I didn't know, because I came out here, I didn't know anyone. They shoot me a text on a Friday. They're like, hey, like, you want to come to this place with us, this club with us? I'm like, yeah, man, sure. Like, I'll pull up. I'll pull up, support. I was like, Andre going to be there? He was like, yeah. So I was like, all right, I'm going to pull up. They're like, yo, come to the hotel. There's going to be a pregame. I'm like, all right, I'm going to pull up to the hotel as well. Andre, nowhere to be found. So I'm kicking with these cats, third party ordeal. So I'm having a great time. Pull up to the nightclub, right? They inform me that we have a table. And they also inform me that we have to split a $1,200 tab. My thought process on that, I reciprocate energy. So if I'm out with my boys or I'm out with a friend, of course I'll buy them a drink, and obviously they'll buy me a drink back. But listen, I'm going to tell you right now. Going to a club, getting a table, that is not the vibe I want to be with.
Okay.
Do I look like Timmy Tucker, the neighborhood sucker? No, go ahead. Tell us your...
It sounds like we're being really cheap right now, but...
Cheap? $1,200 for a fucking table?
But the thing is...
For who?
The only problem I had with the whole night was that...
It sounds like we're being really cheap.
It wasn't explicit. Is that the right word? Probably not. It wasn't known verbalized that we were going to be splitting a table, and everyone that was invited would be splitting the table. Because what I was expecting, based on the communication I had, was that it was going to be a cheaper table than normal because they knew someone there. So I was thinking, you know what? All the guys would probably be paying because it would have been cheaper anyway. What ended up happening was it wasn't cheaper. It was full price. Right. And they decided to order 3 bottles. 3 different bottles. First of all, they had a problem with me being late to the pregame. But they ended up ordering 3 bottles. So who was going to drink these 3 bottles?
In essence, though, full disclaimer, no talking shit.
A little bit.
That's an example of being aware of your environment. So, Andre, we are selective introverts. I know I am as well. So, going out, buying a table, putting expenses on individuals that, in essence, I really communicate efficiently with, that's not my vibe. Yeah. And I was aware of that environment. I was also aware of being in an environment and, noticing other individuals' actions. So that was an example of how you were aware of your environment. So how important is the environment, and how much of influence does environment have on individuals? I'm
everything.
Everything. You think your environment's everything. So you think people can take once you're aware of your environment, you can literally take yourself out of that environment and be with an environment that is appealing to you?
Well, there's a physical environment, then there's a social environment as well.
Okay.
Or other aspects.
Okay.
So, yeah, you can take yourself...
environment. Okay.
You can take yourself out of a physical environment whenever you want, but socially...
Shit, you can take yourself out of a social environment if you want to.
Exactly, but is it socially appropriate to take yourself out of the environment all the time? No.
Okay.
Because that changes perceptions of you.
It
even
does.
Though
but then again, if you want to
about that,
if you want to migrate out of an environment, why does the perception of you really matter?
That's true.
I got an example about putting yourself in the environment. So I referenced my dad in our last our last podcast episode, and I think you actually did this as well. When I had a professional opportunity, you know, it was a different environment than I've ever encountered in my life, and I seen individuals that, you know, I wanted to strive to have commonalities with or learn something from. So what my dad advised me to do is he told me that I should ask the most intimidating individual at my job to go out to lunch, just to create that environment, so I have an understanding of who or what individual that I strive to essentially be thinks like. You know what I mean? So like and this correlates with like environment as well. I feel like taking an initial step to being in an environment that's attractive to you is essential. That's where I'm getting at. And I think you actually did that as well with the CEO of Walmart. VP of
security, something like that.
But you get what I'm saying. Like you actually have control of the environment you want to be in. In essence.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Obviously, I mean, there's limitations on it.
Absolutely.
Not everyone has access to take their, you know, boss out to lunch in some companies, or, you know, get connected with certain individuals. But to an extent, you can create the environment that you want to be in, or you can find the environment that you want to be in. But ultimately, I think, you know, if you are looking for that environment, or you are searching for that environment or that level of connection with, you know, said individual, if you are in that environment, it gives you a better opportunity to get to that place where you want to be, or that environment that you want to be.
But that's with the initial step of people understanding and being aware of their environment they're currently in.
Yes.
Okay. How do you create a mindset that contradicts your environment without essentially being an outcast or being that guy that goes against the grain? And I can answer this even though I asked the question.
Just be confident in who you are as a person. That's
as an individual. I mean, that's some real cliche.
That's better, like, said than
done.
But
damn, we compliment each other pretty well.
I mean, we do.
Wow. Are we in college though?
It's a transition period. I think it's.
I think I'm going to ask you that too as well. Prior, you said take a step back.
Take a step back, but also, you know, you can't just rip the Band-Aid off. You have to ease out of one environment, ease into the next, because, you know, to rip the Band-Aid off in that situation, you're just leaving yourself open and exposed in a sense, where if you can, you know, have that previous environment as a crutch to ease into the next environment, like, have that balance between both until you feel like, you know what, that is the right environment for me to step into, that right situation to step into.
Okay. I definitely agree with what you're saying. Just to add on to what you're saying as well, my advice to anyone, because I've had this happen, I've had this encounter a couple times with being in an environment and actually realizing I don't want to actually be in this environment, is actually taking time to reflect on your social identity. So maybe writing that. This is what I did, and I'll try my hardest not to make generalizations. I'll try my hardest to be personal. So when I was enclosed to a social identity, I wrote down in essence all the characteristics and traits and activities that individuals in that social identity do, to actually analyze it, see if I actually liked it. And this is correlating with athletics. And when I had a visual, because I'm a visual learner, I realized I really don't like doing that shit. Like, I don't like doing half the shit that, in essence, athletes do. I just did it for countless of years, so it became normalized. So when I opted out of school, I got to actually recreate the identity that I wanted to be a part of, the social identity I wanted to be a part of, which it does have some real minimal athletics with working out, obviously, but it allowed me to be aware of my activities and things like that.
An example of one of those things, those normalized situations? Okay,
I'll give you an example. So when when I was an athlete in school, essentially, like, you get paid for your body.
Yeah.
You know, like, you literally get paid for your body. You get paid for how big you are, how strong you are, how fast you are. And I make this joke. Please don't take this personal, anyone. I think college athletics is modern day slavery. Yes, you do get your education paid for, but a lot of individuals I encounter weren't aware of how essential of a strong foundation education can be, especially for minorities. So please utilize college athletics for educational purposes. Mm-hmm. That's sidebar. So when I wrote down my social identity, the main indicator, and anybody asks me, the main indicator is getting paid for my body. Mm-hmm. So once I got out of school, I didn't want to get paid for anything I did physically. Mm-hmm. I want to get paid for the way I think, my judgment. Mm-hmm. And that was the number one thing that I wanted to, that's the number one reason why I wanted to opt out of that social identity of athletics.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to get paid for my body. I got paid all my life for that. I want to get paid for the way I think.
It's tough though, because like you're sold this story of what you can be and what you can achieve with athletics, especially like college football. Because my brother's in that now, and you know he's a smart kid and he's getting a double degree, so I know he's like taking advantage of it. Right. But he's told me, you know, his teammates are going down easy avenues in their education because they're expecting to become, you know, the next NFL star.
Bro.
When you look at reality, like, I'm not in it right now, and maybe you can speak more to it, but that avenue of being sold on a dream is sometimes, you know, negative because you're not going to get, chances are you're not going to get to that.
I agree.
So take the most you can now.
I agree. There's one individual that I played college ball with that's playing in the league, and he's the most naturally gifted individual I've ever encountered. Mm-hmm. And he will be in the league for years. Shout out to Ashton, man. You worked hard. You have natural talent. I hope nothing but the best for you. But for other individuals, and this correlates with environment. So like a lot of individuals, especially, I can speak on this because I encountered this. Minorities, they don't have a strong foundation of how important education is. So when they come into college athletics and they're sold this pipe dream, they don't really realize that the system's using them instead of using the system. I'll give you a prime example, and this is a personal example. When I was my first couple years of school, I graduated high school at 17. I was in college at 17. I didn't know what to major in. First of all, I think our educational system's ass backwards because you're asking a kid at 18 years old, what do you want to do for the rest of your life? I'm 25 years old. I don't know what I'll be. I don't know what I want to be when I get older. You feel me? So at 17, 18, I was advised to focus on football rather than focus on my education. And once you're advised to focus on, you know, athletics rather than your education, you pick majors that don't accumulate tons of homework, doesn't accumulate tons of time. You're majoring in communication and history. 2 majors I majored in. It's a blessing I got my master's paid for, but some individuals don't have that opportunity. So I mean, I'm hoping that being aware of your environment that you're in before you opt out of that environment and go elsewhere is essential.
Well, it's just basic math, isn't it? Like, how many people are drafted every year? Is it 50 is the max? Like, what's like the actual...
Don't embarrass me like this. I should know this. Don't embarrass me like this.
All right. But, you know, you think about it.
It's like 1%, man. It's 1% of college athletes. It's really slim.
You're going 4 years of your life to build up this resume of hitting this minimum salary each year of $500K. That's like the minimum wage that NFL player is paid.
Yeah, minimum salary.
So you're going through 4 years to build up this resume, and it's only at the end of these 4 years, or maybe 3 years, that you get that opportunity to be picked by a team. So why not have that backup option of an education?
Yeah. And I mean, we're speaking on a medium right now because some people do use that opportunity, but some people don't use the opportunity. Yeah. So we're not gauging on negativity with this. We are gauging on anybody should think like this.
Even if you are, you know, picked, don't you want to have the knowledge to make those correct decisions to maximize like what you're worth? You know, if you're picked to a team and you end up picking up a shitty agent or whatever, like, are you really going to maximize what you're worth if you don't have that education and that background? Like, if you actually go through that system of things, you can end up with that, more lucrative deal because you've done your homework and you know your background. And
I agree with what you're saying on that, but I will confidently say that, and this might contradict what we're talking about, but I think education has no correlation with intelligence. I tell people this all the time. I've had people in my graduate program not be intellectually compatible. Mm-hmm. And I have individuals that dropped out of school at 17, 18 that are more intellectually inclined than I am. Mm-hmm. So I think just obtaining that paper. I mean, my thought process is if you spend abundance of time in our college system, our educational system after high school, why not obtain that? That's it's a resource, man. It gets you in the door. I mean, a piece of paper. If you're getting paid physically to be in college, get that degree. Mm-hmm. Get that degree. Say that you did that, even if you never use it, man. Just get that degree. For any college student that's out there that's in athletics, walked on, half scholarship, partial scholarship, whatever, you get that degree. That's a great accomplishment. Don't ever let anybody downplay graduating college, especially if you're a first generation college graduate.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Flipping it a little bit, but same topic.
That shit got me hot.
I had a weird thought. Why? What's stopping me spending a semester going to lectures at Harvard that have 100 seats or more? Because no one's going to take attendance. What's stopping me from doing that?
What do you mean?
What's stopping anyone from doing that? Going to a lecture at Harvard that has, granted, 100 seats or more, because they're not going to check attendance.
Just to sit down in them?
Just to sit down and learn. What's stopping anyone from doing that?
The paper. What do you mean?
What do you mean?
What do you mean the paper? I think people...
What do you mean the paper?
Like, they won't go to those classes just to obtain knowledge. Only people out the grain do that.
Yeah.
Gary Vee talks on that all the time. He's like, yo, be around people that allow you to think. It'd probably be beneficial if you're sitting in Harvard classes, especially if you want to get in business.
Yeah.
You want to sit in some of those classes, obtain knowledge. People don't really do that.
Yeah,
if they do, shout out to you motherfuckers. But like shit.
DM us because I'm really curious to learn.
That ass. I don't know too many people that are like, yo, I'm going to go sit in some free classes. It's for the paper and shit. I mean, do you think...
I think I watched too many episodes of Suits, but that's another story.
Shit.
Wow.
So are you saying like
Cap?
Are we closing?
No.
Because we're fucking rolling right now, G.
So
let's wrap it up.
What were we talking about?
I don't fucking know.
So some of our feedback that we've got...
We did talk about how your environment impacts you, how do you become aware of your environment, social identity, how important environment. We talked about everything. Let's just close up.
Well, some of our feedback has been that we go on too many tangents. And the reason why we go on too many tangents, and you know what, I'll be open with the viewers right now, is because we pretty much black out during this. Like, not because we're drunk. I don't know what the chemicals in my brain are doing, but I could not tell you anything I recorded in episode 1 or 2 or 3. I can tell you because I've viewed them and I've edited them, but I actually cannot tell you what we talked about if I didn't view that back. So for all those saying, you know what, you guys are going on tangents a lot.
Ain't none of my.
I apologize because
nobody on my feedback said anything about tangents.
All my feedbacks have been like, you know what, you started strong. You were going down this direction. I don't know how you ended up over here. Actually, you ended up way over here.
You know what, Mom? I don't need that feedback, Mom.
Yeah, Mom. Stop. You've literally viewed my podcast 400 times. Appreciate it. But anyone else that wants to view this podcast, please dislike and unsubscribe.
Hey.
This is a reverse psychology that we're testing out.
Yeah, man.
And if we get negative subscribers, that's okay. But at least we're fucking shooting our shot. Shooters shoot.
I hope you enjoyed our podcast. Fuck your P's and Q's. Tune in next Sunday. Let's get it.
Wow. Big deal. Big deal.
Fuck with me. Just kidding.
Oh, really big deal or what?
Yeah, that was a good handshake.
The Koi will be back.
Okay.
Koi will be back. Do we wrap it up?
We're done. We did wrap.
Hey.